we've got this bar. It pivots around this point. This is 10 newtons. That's 10 newtons. Point 0.5. 1 meter. Okay, so this is a pretty similar problem to yesterday, I think. When this falls and rotates down, and the bar is weightless, so we are going to ignore moments of inertia here. When this falls, it's going to do a 10 times mgh, so that's mg, 10 newtons, and then h is the meter it's falling through in order to get down here. Okay. And then the other bar is being raised, so we're going to subtract its amount, so that's going to be 10 times 0.5. So we should just get 10 times 0.5, which is 5 joules, and then you divided it by each one. And then you got 2.5 like that, and you told me 2.5 wasn't the answer. So here's why 2.5 isn't the answer. What are we looking for? We're looking for the kinetic energy of y in joules, right? Which one was y? This one's y. So we could just divide by 2 the problem from the other day because it was rotating around the center. You got to this and divided it by 2 because the problem we did the other day was rotating around the center, and this one is not. Because this one is rotating out a little bit, what's actually going to happen here is y is going to be rotating faster than x. They're both going to have the same angular velocity, so their angular velocity is going to be constant, but their linear velocities, which is the angular velocity times a position, are going to be different. For y, that's going to be twice the amount of x because this is sitting at 1 meter, and for x it's sitting at 0.5, like that. So you know that Vy is equal to twice that of Vx. So if we if I have a rod here, right? They both do have the same weight. Yeah. But because you're not pivoting around the center, because you're pivoting at an offset here, when this bar reaches its vertical position, like that, this down here had to move a very far distance, and this one had to move a very short distance, and they had to do that in the same amount of time. So their linear or their tangential velocities are very different here. Their angular velocities are the same, but their tangential velocities, their linear velocities out at the edge where these points are very different. So because of that, Vy has twice the velocity of Vx. So if our total amount is 5 joules of energy, if Vy is twice that of Vx, then if we think about kinetic energy as being 1/2 mv squared, then what we can say is, assuming the masses are the same, which they are, you know that the kinetic of y and the kinetic of x, because the 1/2s and the m's are the same, we don't care. What we can say here is that the kinetic of y is just the velocity of y squared, or proportional rather, and this is just the velocity of x squared. So if y is twice as much as x in terms of velocity, that means it's going to be 4 times as much in terms of kinetic energy, and so the kinetic of y could equal like 4, and the kinetic of x could equal 1. 4 and 1 together will give you 5. So I think your answer here should be D. It should be 4. Does that kind of work out? Have you done any rotation stuff yet? Normally rotation happens like at the very end of a year. But I don't know how things work in Turkey. Yeah, and you can get that really quick if you've done a bunch of these. You can say, you know, this distance is 2 times of this distance of 1. That means my velocity is twice as much. My velocity is twice as much. My kinetic energy is the square of that. Boom, 4, you're done. So it's a faster way to do it. Okay, so you haven't done that yet. So you don't know anything about this idea. Yeah, if you don't know that, then this problem becomes difficult. Probably becomes next to impossible then, because you don't know this concept here, and you know this is moving faster at least, and this is moving slow.